Unsyndicated presents Off the Board, the weekly gambling show. Hosted by Majchrzak and Mike Iavasile.
Welcome. Is this technically Tigers postgame too?
I think so. Tigers postgame. Let's give it up for them. Making the playoffs, baby.
Incredible. It's incredible. Like I told you before the show, I've just been blindly betting them all week, so I'm happy.
And how can you not? It's just been an unbelievable run. I mean, what were we saying? 500-1 just 2 months ago. Then last week, I think I said we could get them at about 11-1, and here they are in the playoffs with, like we said, mathematically still a chance to get the home field advantage here in the
technically, yeah. I was just looking. I think Baltimore's up 2-0 in the third. I want to say something like that. So, I mean, a lot needs to happen still, but the way they've been playing and how hot they've been, I mean, and I've never faked it. I am no seamhead. I know next to nothing about baseball, but I know that this town has quickly, like, obviously everyone's still so hyped for the Lions.
Yeah. But
like this town has turned into a baseball town overnight.
It would probably be incredibly the hugest party if the Lions ever won it. But I think year after year after year, it is a Tigers town. There's something about baseball that draws the families, draws the people down there. And I'm like you, Blake. We were just talking. I don't even have Bally Sports. I never went back to it after the little strike thing that they did. I didn't watch them because they weren't good. I always said I'd watch them. When they came back, they had a little bit of a run there in the summer. I watched a couple games. They fell back. By the time they got back into it, I don't even have Bally's, but I'm following them online, and now I'll be able to watch them on cable.
Yeah. And I know this is a gambling show, but I don't have an outlet to get this out, so I'm just going to say it. Like, Detroit sports are so exciting right now. Like, the Wings are about to start. There's hope there. Obviously, the Lions right now, Michigan upset USC.
Ooh.
Michigan State is doing some things. Like, everything's looking good. I like Michigan State's coach a lot.
Michigan State's going to keep it close against Ohio State this week. We'll be all right. We're going to be all right.
We'll talk about that later. That's not going to happen, unfortunately, for my mental health. But you want to talk about how we did last week? I don't, personally.
You don't?
No, I did not good.
All right. Here's the thing, Blake. So when you look at it just on the surface, I had a losing week.
Yes.
All right. I think overall, I'm looking at I was 7-8. Okay. Mm-hmm. Of those 8 losses, 5 of them came in the final 2 minutes. One of them
brutal.
One of them because of a successful onside kick. How that happens in today's game, I'll never know. And then other ones just because, again, we bet on this stuff, questionable coaching stuff, because I was feeling good. My closing line value, I was 11-2-4 against the closing line. Like, I was like, this has got it. So that shows me I was on the right side. The losing in the last couple of minutes like that, it was actually humorous by the end of it. Shows me I was on the right side. So I can't even be mad at that, right? You can't be mad.
I mean, I'm pretty mad at some of my picks, if we're being honest.
All right. Which ones are you mad at?
Todd, can you? Yeah. Well, I'll just face the music. Let's show the people. This is last week's results for college. I'm mad about a few things. First of all, we were talking about it before the show. That Illinois-Nebraska game.
Yeah.
Dylan Raiola had a chance to score, and it just didn't happen. And I know they still wouldn't have covered, but still, like, that chance was there to win the game. It didn't happen. The Michigan game, I'm not mad about. I talked about this last week. I'm not upset at all. I will take that loss. No problem. No questions asked. I am all good. Okay.
And how about that trend riding high again with that Michigan win? We brought it up when those two ranked teams play. That home team had won 172. They were 172 and 86. So One of the two hit. Obviously, the Tennessee one didn't hit. By the way, your freshman quarterback there in Tennessee is the real deal.
Nico is awesome.
Yes.
That team, and he didn't even play well that night.
No,
but they are so fun to watch, and he just hits an explosive every game, and Oklahoma is a mess. You could tell watching that game, like halfway through the second quarter, Tennessee just said, they're not going to score on us. We're going to run the ball. We're going to punt, and we're going to get out of here with a win and a cover. Like, we don't need to do much.
Yeah, I give respect. The Oklahoma's defense looked all right. They did a formidable job, but every time that guy drops back, your butt just clinches if you're on the other side. It's unbelievable.
And it's just a flick of the wrist. Like, it looks so easy for him. He's incredible. So much fun to watch.
Yeah, he did make a few freshman mistakes, but he's a true freshman. He's going to make those mistakes, but outside of that, dynamic.
A freshman on the road, first SEC game.
And that crowd was incredible too. Yep. So you think about that, like, it was loud watching it on TV to be there as a freshman playing in that game. Come on.
Okay. So Utah and Oklahoma State, I could not have been more wrong about an over, but I'm done with Utah too. I'm done betting on games that they play in, as I have a pick on them tonight, but I'm done with them. Okay. Because Cam Rising played one play in that game, and that changed everything. Like, so that game just was gross.
Yes.
And I mean, the fact that it even got to 41, like, was a miracle. It doesn't make any sense.
Oklahoma State struggling on offense. They can't get a quarterback in there that's playing worth anything right now. So again, we got more. I don't know if it was a show bet or if I just have a bet on one of their games this week, and it's all my bets going against that offense. I don't like it at all.
We talked about Tennessee. Boston College obviously won that game. That game was ugly too because of the weather and everything. Yeah. You having that under at 45.5, because I think it closed lower than that because of weather.
Yes.
So that was a great call by you. BC, I would bet them again in that game. I think weather had a lot to do with their offense in that game. So that one I'm not mad about. No. But really the Utah game was just like a punch in the gut.
Yeah, a punch in the gut. But when I look at it, again, especially with Rising not playing, which was what it was, and he comes out, whatever, I would still take Oklahoma State at that point. Knowing what I know after watching the game, I don't think I can ever take a team that they can't put a quarterback out there.
No.
And when Gundy goes Gundy, it's ugly. Like, I've lost so many bets where I want to pull that toupee off his head. And I don't care what anybody says. That's a frickin' toupee.
Oh, man. All right. On to the NFL, because the NFL was at least a little better for me.
Yeah.
I think you were about the same. Yeah, you had a 500 week. We'll take that. 100%.
I'll take it any day. And looking at those bets again, the Chicago one, Jackson. But I've got something on that Atlanta game when we get to it.
Is Minnesota just good? I think Minnesota's just good.
Yes.
We'll talk about them later. That's one of the games we're picking. But like, that was impressive what they did against Houston, because I think very highly of Houston, and to win by 27 like they did and just roll, that was a great performance out of them.
Yes.
That Detroit Arizona game was just ugly.
Yeah. And
there's really not much else you can say about it. It was just an ugly football game. I'm riding Kansas City unders, I think, for a while until Patrick Mahomes figures it out.
And he will. I mean, but what worries me though is it's very honorable that he gets up there and owns it, but the fact that he's talking about it worries me a little bit. I mean, it makes it a little bit more real that he is absolutely on the struggle bus like the rest of the quarterbacks in the NFL. I wouldn't, the unders, I get it, but I think it's going to be the same old KC. It's going to be a one-score game almost all the time.
But their defense also is so good.
Yes.
Like, their defense, that's why I also And you're 100% right. Like, Mahomes is going to figure it out, and they're going to play in close games. The thing is like, we haven't even seen, I would say, a B+ game out of KC.
No.
And they haven't lost a game yet.
But with that, which gets into one of my bets coming up that I have in my account, they should have lost that game.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Raheem Morris gave them that game. And it infuriates me between him and Sirianni. I don't know which of the two of them is more allergic to field goals and points. I don't get it. You have 4.5 minutes left. You're on the 6-yard line. It's 4th down. You're down by 5. You kick that field goal.
Yep.
Because you get the ball back. You're in the red zone again as time's running out. You win that game. When did it become illegal to kick field goals in the NFL? I don't get it.
It's all analytics, man. It's analytics and being aggressive. I mean, Detroit, we saw it here last year in the NFC Championship. So,
but when you look at the analytics, you have to take context into those things and 100%. Look at what time of the game it is. 4.5 minutes left was plenty of time with timeouts to kick that field goal, be down by 2, and get the ball back. That was a bozo call that cost them that game and cost me money.
And then we don't have to talk about my friend Joe Burrow. They better win this week. That's all I have to say. If they don't, I trade T. Higgins, do whatever you got to do, blow it up, figure it out. Their defense looks so like it wasn't even Joe Burrow. Their offense was awesome. They didn't punt.
Yes, their defense is horrendous.
We talked about it last week. Going into last week, no rookie quarterbacks had thrown touchdown passes. Obviously, Caleb did in that Chicago Indy game. He had 2, I believe, and over 300 yards passing. And then Jaden Daniels just had literally the game of his life. He was incredible in that game.
Yeah, and how fitting is his first touchdown goes to a lineman. You love it.
I know. Did you catch after the game? They asked him who gets the ball, and he was like, "I do. That was my first touchdown."
I love it. The battle in the Chicago game, because Caleb Williams, I don't know who he threw it to the guy, but they are both rookies, and that guy was not.
I think it was Rome. I think it was Rome Odunze.
That was his first touchdown. He wasn't giving the puck up.
Yeah. So.
The ball.
Before we get into these college games for this week, do you have any trends or anything that you wanted to present before we get into them, or did you want to wait until after?
We can get into some trend. I've got 2 undefeated trends to take a look at this week, and the funny is in the college one, I had which one would Blake be more willing to take.
Okay.
The NFL one, I just put it out there because it's one of those games with a line that might push you the other way. It's the Tampa Bay Philadelphia game where Philly's, I think, a 1.5 favorite right now.
Yep.
But the trend is the Eagles are 8-0 in pre-bye games, and they'll be on a bye next week. So this is their game. They're at Tampa, favored by 1.5, and I'm tempting you, Blake. It's an 8-0 trend. They're good before the bye, but are you willing to give up a 1.5 at Tampa?
Those injuries on Philly scare me.
Yeah,
they have their best offensive lineman out, and both of their best receivers are out. So that part of it with that Philly game, we're going to talk about that game later, obviously, but that's kind of my thought process there. Also, I don't know if you saw the trend. The biggest underdogs in the NFL so far each week have all won outright.
They have
won straight up every single week.
Yeah, the dogs of 5.5 or more were 9-1 against the spread and 5-5 spread straight up. But the biggest ones were 5-0.
Yep.
Straight up. Like it's one of those that, and all the 0-2 teams that won last week and that people were doubting on. It goes on to not only that saying I have of we bet on this, it's what you think you know, you don't know. We know nothing about anything when it comes to the NFL. It is a drunk league that is crazy every week, which makes it fun to bet on. Like,
Yep.
it'd be great to win every game, but like if you could just pick those games, like looking at these games, there's some clunkers out there that I'm like, how am I taking
There's
this
some
right now?
stinky,
How am I taking
stuff.
this? And you got to plug your nose and you got to put that bet in.
So are you going to ride the trend though and take the Pats plus the?
I have
like
not,
14.
but I have not taken that one. There's a couple games that I'm going to wait till Sunday to make a bet because that Raiders game just scared the lights out of me trying to put it in. Because I want to make sure that I'm not just spitting out, oh, I'm going to do this, and I don't actually have it in an account. Because when we say we have it, I have it, so you can trust that I put it in there. So the second trend's the college trend, and it involves you on both of them. So I didn't know if you, and I actually think you went against one and actually with one is the funny thing. And I had this written down before you gave your picks. The one is in the last 8 Michigan-Minnesota games have gone over.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
You took the under.
Yes.
I took
it's a low number too.
Yes, it's 35.5. I ended up taking the over. And then the other one was, which you took, which shocked me because you stated on these airwaves last week that you would never bet on Ohio State, is Ohio State is on a 7-0 run against the spread against Michigan State. And you are on that one.
Yeah. I mean, they're a wagon right now. So it's really hard to deny. I'm not. And after last week, I need some winning plays, and that's a winning play in my opinion. So,
and to add to the excitement from what I saw, I think we're going head to head on a few of them again this week.
Yes. So, Todd, if you want to pull it up, we can get right into this week's slate of college games. I'm very excited for this weekend's slate. Okay, the scoreboard. That's tough. That minus 300 is tough. Mike, you're still in the green though. You're still up 200, and I'm rooting for that.
It's
this
unbelievable.
Is not a competition. I want my friend to win.
Yeah, the funny thing about it is the unbelievable part is that I'm actually doing it because of my college bets. And that's where I'm usually not so strong, but I'm hanging in there in the NCAA. So I'm doing all right. So let's get into this. I can't wait.
So the first game is the Oklahoma State and Kansas State. That game. Okay, so both of these teams played ugly games last week. Kansas State played BYU and got rolled. Oklahoma State played Utah without Cam Rising, and they came back late in that game, I know, but they were getting rolled too.
Yep.
This is an ugly game. I don't have a good feel on either of these teams. I think Oklahoma State always peaks late, and Gundy, like you were saying, he's a absolute idiot. Yep. But as a dog, he's generally pretty good.
Yes.
I just don't want any part of this, but I have faith in both of these defenses because they've both played well this year. So that's why I like the under 57.5.
Yep.
I think it's an inflated number because of Big 12.
Okay.
So if I can get an under there, I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's inflated. It opened at 52.5. They pushed it all the way up to 57.5 because 70% of the bets are on them. The public sees these two teams and they think they can score, and that's exactly what they see. So they've inflated it by another 5 points. So I'm with you, Blake. I'm going with the books. The books are going to need this game to go under, and you can tell that they need it to go under because they keep pushing that number up and up and up. So I'm going under 57.5 with you. I don't think Oklahoma State's got a quarterback that can score that many points. Kansas State, I think, had 267 yards or something ridiculous on the ground.
Bad.
So they're going to pound the ball, and that's going to run the clock. This game's going well under this 57.5.
Yep. I mean, that game last week, I don't know if you caught any of it, that BYU Kansas State. It was they looked like they never played offense. Like they came out on their opening drive and it was scripted and they looked good and they did nothing after that. It was ugly. And BYU looked really good. And that's a game I'm going to bring up later because somehow BYU is dogs right now to Baylor, which does not make any sense to me.
All right.
So
All right.
we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the next game, the Wolverines, who are back. Thank you, Todd. The Wolverines, who are back. Big upset against USC. Obviously, 37 yards passing, all of it. I don't care. Win football games. I was tweeting through this during the game. I don't know if you saw me tweeting through this.
No.
If Donovan Edwards touches the ball ever again, I might lose my mind. The fumble, like obviously he had the one explosive run. Besides that one explosive run, I'm pretty sure he averaged under 4 yards a carry.
Yeah, it didn't look good.
He is not the running back. Khalil Mullings is. I don't care. I don't want Donovan Edwards getting the ball anymore. I just want Khalil Mullings just ramming his forehead into everything. I love that dude. That run at the end of the game.
Yep.
How physical he looks. He fits what the offensive line is doing really well. But Mike, I don't need to rant about this. Yeah, I could go on for 20 minutes. What's your pick in this game?
All right, this is one of these that we were going back and forth in the text that I'm going against what I normally do. We're going to call me Mike Public on this one. I'm going with 81% of the bets on this one. I'm going over 35.5. I'm going with that trend. 8-0. The Minnesota-Michigan has gone over. And I've also got marked here. I would also take a look at, and I'm going to watch where this number goes, but the Michigan team total is 22.5. I myself could see Michigan having one of those games, scoring 4 on the ground and putting them up by them, putting up the points by themselves, where I'm only looking for Minnesota to get 7 points here. And I think this game goes over. But again, I'm going against everything I have here. I'm going with the trend. Call me Mr. Public. I'm going over.
The only issue is, and I get what you're saying, and I love the logic.
Yep.
I don't know how Minnesota scores.
Yes.
Their offense, I watched that entire Thursday night game, Minnesota and North Carolina, and I was like, this offense might be like worse than Iowa offense. Their offense is bad.
It is. They do.
Defense still good. We figured that out.
They resemble the Iowa teams, but PJ Fleck's going to row that boat down for one touchdown. That's all I need. But you might not even need it because they gave up 272 yards on the ground to Iowa. It was Iowa, I believe, last week. Mm-hmm. And Michigan they're going to pound. It could get scary because that clock's going to go. Michigan's not going to have to throw the ball. It is going to be pound to run.
They can't. So they're not allowed to.
This is true. True.
So I am taking Michigan, and I'm also taking the under. So you can take it for what it's worth. Every time I've basically been betting against Michigan every single big game. I don't consider this a big game though. So I think Michigan can cover this. I think I would feel comfortable saying they're going to win by 14. So I like Michigan in this one.
And by your words, it would be a 14-0 game. So you would win. But I again, let's go Public.
Next game. This is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
This is huge for Notre Dame. Yeah. Thank you, Todd. You're the best. Huge for Notre Dame. Louisville at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is favored by 6.5. Over under a 46.5. I will start with this one.
Yep.
I don't know if this is a want thing for me or what. And I think this team is really good. I genuinely do. I think Louisville has a chance to be in the ACC championship. They've been playing really, really well this year. I am taking Louisville plus the 6.5.
Okay.
I don't believe in Notre Dame whatsoever. Obviously, the whole NIU thing. And then NIU goes out and loses in overtime last week to, I think, Buffalo it was, in a MAC game.
Yes. Yes.
It's just I don't think Notre Dame is a good football team. I do not want them to make the college football playoff because I don't want to have to watch them in the playoff get smoked by a real team. So just lose so that it's over. Because if they have 2 losses with that NIU loss, they are not getting in no matter what.
No, I agree with
So
you.
I like Louisville in this spot. I think, and like I said, I think Louisville is a very good football team and will be competing in the ACC. So I'll take them.
And I'll agree with you on that. And this is a bet that before I started running the numbers for the show, I did not have it in my account, and I actually do have it in my account now. This is going to sound a little bit more like Mike. We've got 60% of the bets on the over here. The public sees 2 teams that are averaging about 80 points a game right now. So they think this game's going to fly over. They're flooding. They're running to their books to take the over here. The split is 40% of the bet, 78% of the money, but this line's gone under. The line's moved to the under. It moved from 48 to 46.5. That only happens, Blake, because what kind of money? Smart money's there, and that's where I'm going. I'm going with the smart money, and I'm going with 2 top 20 defenses that are for real, and I have this game going under 46.5.
I like that a lot, and I'll probably will you as my gambling compadre, will you just text me and remind me to take that under? Because I will idiotically forget. I will ride on that under with you.
I like it.
It's not on the board, but in my brain it's on the board. I'm riding that under with you 100%. I like that a lot.
We ride.
Next game.
Yep.
Big one.
Yes.
For a bunch of reasons. Ohio State's finally playing a team with somewhat of a pulse. I don't know how much of a pulse it is, but you know, everyone wanted to pass on Michigan's schedule last year. Well, look at Ohio State's schedule this year. It's just as much, if not more, of a joke. Ohio State, though, has dominated in all of those games like they should be. You can't really say much about that.
They're doing their job.
They're 23.5 point favorites at Michigan State this week. Over under 48.5. Mike, I will let you get started on this one. Okay. I have a lot of thoughts, but you go ahead.
Everybody, Blake, I'm telling you, everybody's looking at this game, and this just like the last game. Those teams were averaging 80 points. These two offenses are averaging 77 points. They see this over under at 48.5. They're running and they're betting it. They're betting it like crazy. Everyone, this number doesn't even reach to where I would take this game. But when I look at only 10% of the money, is on the under. And it's moved to the under from 49.5 to 48.5. I'm taking the under 48.5 in this. You've got the number 6 and number 35 ranked defenses. I think the home game at night, Michigan State's going to be pumped up. This is this coach's first chance at Ohio State. I'm not saying they win, but I'm saying that they can contain it a little bit. They can keep this game down. And Blake, I don't know, I'm on my deck right now. I love doing the show from my deck. I don't know if you can hear that wind blowing. This could be another wonder out there. They're calling for 10 to 15 mile an hour winds.
Okay. I know you have big deck energy, Mike. I know that about you.
Yes, second deck.
I think Ohio State's going to roll. I really do. I just think that MSU, there's a huge talent gap between these two teams. And the one spot that I think that you can get Ohio State is their offensive line. And I don't think Michigan State has the defensive linemen to expose that issue. So I am going to take Ohio State, and I am also going to take the over.
Okay.
Because I genuinely think Ohio State might score that much on their own. Okay. I don't know how Michigan State covers Ohio State's weapons. And if they find a way to, again, with their defensive line, Ohio State has 2 of the top 10 running backs in the country.
Yeah.
This is all very painful for me to say. But their roster's loaded. I mean, that's what you do. That's what happens when you spend all that money.
Yeah, they spend that money. They get it. And again, you're going with that 8-0 trend. Ohio State has covered the last 8 games against Michigan State. Now, the only thing that would be going against you is that the books are going to need. This is another one where it's lopsided. I don't think anyone's taking Michigan State. Everything's coming into these books on Ohio State. This could be one that could shock people that they could cover, and it has gone from 25.5 to 23.5. It's just something to take a look at for those people out there that have.
And if it was at that 25.5 still, honestly, I would probably consider Michigan State more.
It is a big difference.
But that key football number of 24 makes a difference. It really does. Next game, another Big Ten battle. Illinois at Penn State. We talked about Illinois earlier with the game against Nebraska and everything. Like I think we talked about this before the show, before we were live. Like, I don't know if Illinois is a good team. I don't think they are. Their quarterback played really, really well, but I don't know what to think about Illinois, but they keep winning. And Penn State hasn't really played anyone outside of West Virginia, which they rolled in that game.
Yeah. What really stands out to me in this game is I don't like Brett. I always mess his name up. Bielema, whatever. Mm-hmm. His offensives just go dead at times. And this is a team that I see this offense possibly going dead. But who's going first? You or me on this one?
I am first on this one. And I like Penn State minus the 17.5. Okay. I think that right now Penn State is the second best team in the Big Ten. I won't say who's first. But I think they're a really, really good team. I like what they're doing on offense. I think that their offense fits their players. Like, it's actually was a really good hire by Franklin, and I like the way that their defense has been playing. I think Illinois has a chance to run the ball a little bit on Penn State, but I still think Penn State talent-wise and what they're doing on offense is just perfect, and they need this. They need to show up and cover this big spread to kind of prove some haters wrong. So I like Penn State.
All right, and what helps you on that one is I think that Illinois is actually the public side. Really? What I've been reading is that everyone's coming in at the number of 18. Everyone was coming in on Illinois. However, when I'm taking a look at this, you've got 75% of the bets. The public is taking a look at this. They see two undefeated ranked teams averaging 73 points a game. These people aren't walking. They're running to the books to take the over. So you know what I'm doing at 25% of the bets, but 75% of that money, I'm going under 47.5. This line hasn't moved. Only 25% of the bets, but it hasn't moved because
that's a huge split.
That's a huge that is a Mike special right there. I'm usually looking for 10%, 15%. That's a 50% split there. Another one, just like that other under I was taking a look at, at Michigan's team total. Take a look at Penn State's team total at 33.5. They could do that. They're a team that is going to pump out some points. They're going to try to pump out overs himself. But the problem is I don't know if Illinois' offense can score. I'm going under 47.5, and I'm pretty confident with it to enough. I added it to my account.
I like that team total play too. Yeah, actually, I might have to dabble in that. Maybe I parlay a Michigan team total and a Penn State team total. Do a little action on that. I like it.
Like where your head's up, like
the game of the week.
Can't wait for
this game is going to. I know we're in Big Ten country. I love SEC football. I talked about this a bunch with Sean. We've always bonded over that. I love SEC football. Georgia, Alabama, it does not get much better than that in the SEC. Georgia is favored by 1.5. The over-under is 49.5. I'll let you go first. I honestly, though, just real quick, I don't have a feel for who's going to win this game at all. So just throwing that out there.
To prove my point of not having a feel on this game, that me and you were talking, and I don't know if I said it on the show or if it was before the show, that I remember saying I was excited. I wish that Georgia and Texas played, and you put me in my place because they do play. Because I was saying I would have Georgia favored by at least 10 points over anybody in the country, right? So I should be looking and grabbing this Georgia line as low as it is, but I have such a non-feel for Alabama, Georgia things. I'm not going there because when I'm looking at these numbers, I see the public's looking at this game and they're looking at Georgia and Alabama and they're going, let me just look at their past scores. They've scored 63, 63, 42, 42, 48, and 34 points. They think this is going to be the easiest over ever. The split, though, is 36% of the bets, 62% of the money is on the under, and it hasn't moved. I think it might have actually dropped to 49, but we've got it at 49.5. I'm taking the under with two of the best defenses in the country right now going toe-to-toe in Tuscaloosa, baby.
I'm one of those people that you're talking about because I think about all the past games that I've watched between these two teams, and they play in weird, funky games. They're all over the place.
Yeah,
and that's why I like the over in this game. I think I'll either know early that it's going over, or I know I'm gonna have a loser early. It's gonna be one or the other.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it gets so stinky defensive snot knocking that I can try to middle it with an ugly over.
It could be, or it could be Carson Beck coming off of a bye. He looked bad against Kentucky. I think very highly of him. And Milroe is a big play explosive guy. So it could be a going back and forth. I think this is a game we'll know very early. Game script, what's going to happen.
Yep.
A lot of this will depend on what both of these teams want to do. By the way, you were talking the number for this is all over the place. It's at 49 at some books, and then it's all the way up to 50.5 at others. Oof. So it's really all over the place. That's why I settled on 49.5. That was kind of the consensus that I saw at a couple books, but the number is really it's all over the place. So.
And I mean, and you can't believe that at some point the books, unless they take a side and they're set on it, and you know that they're taking a side because that line moves against the grain like crazy. They have to bump this up because people are jumping all over this over.
But from what I see, at least, and this might have been the line that came out a couple weeks ago, it opened at 54. So
54. What did I say?
And like I said, that could be the preseason line.
That is, I could go back and look. I'm not going to run through it, but what that most likely is that summer line that you've got places like the South Point, run by one of the greatest bookmakers in the world, Chris Andrews, that puts out the game of the year in college. Like he starts releasing them in the summer, week by week. And this is obviously one of them that would get released as a game of the year. So that was probably a summer line that he puts them out there so that these sharp bettors bet it back into shape to where they see it. So then they re-release it probably about a week ago. Yep,
exactly. So do you want to fire through some games real quick that we like? Can I just be honest with you?
Mm-hmm.
And I can go through mine very quickly. I have, let me just count this up. 1, 2, 3. I have 13 games that I like outside of the ones. And these will all be plays. I have not placed them yet, but I will have plays on every single one of these games.
I love it. We're going to be ripping on some because I think I'm up to about 11. And I'm still looking at those two team totals. So 11 college bets in my pocket. So tell me what you got, Blake.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
This is one that I was thinking. How much will the Hurricanes still have an impact on Florida games in the South and stuff tomorrow? Will it be pretty cleared out of there, or will there still be some residual storms?
I've heard different things depending on it. I've heard that it should be fine by those times because if it wasn't, they wouldn't be playing the games. They wouldn't have people there. So that's kind of what I would go with. But again,
but still has affected like practice and everything this week, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, and I would imagine travel because they've shut everything down. So the travel had to have happened early in the week to get in or to get out.
So that goes into my first place. South Florida and Tulane, two teams that were both, as far as I know, affected by this storm that came through. The over-under 62.5. I'm just going to say under on that.
Okay.
Like, that's a high number as it is. I know that these are two teams that can both score some points, but I think even if without weather, I think 62.5 is too high. Northern Illinois plus 7.5 at NC State. I don't think NC State is very good at all. We've seen Northern Illinois beat a Power 4 team already this year in Notre Dame. I don't think Northern Illinois is some great team, but I also saw Tennessee, which is obviously a step up in competition, run the shit out of the ball on NC State.
Yep.
So, and that's what Northern Illinois wants to do. So if I can get them at over a touchdown, I will take them all day. Nebraska minus 10.5 at Purdue. Purdue's just not a good football team. They're really bad. Yeah. I think Nebraska, I know that they lost to Illinois, everything. I still think Nebraska is a good team that will, have 8-9 wins possibly at the end of the season. Yeah. I really like, Raiola, who have you seen, by the way, just real quick tangent. He wants to be Patrick Mahomes.
100%.
Have you seen any of this?
Warm up to everything. Absolutely.
Everything. It's and this came out this week. He has his brother kind of looks like Jackson Mahomes a little bit.
Oh boy.
There's a picture of him at the right angle. He looks just like Jackson Mahomes.
That's where you don't want to go. That's where you want to stop the family tree.
He's also a quarterback. Okay. His younger brother, and he's really good. Like, I've heard interviews because we had Dom on the radio show a couple months ago, and Dom's like, actually, the younger one's even better.
Oh boy!
So, and he just committed to Nebraska.
Well, hey, he committed to Nebraska. I say maybe Portnoy can get him to Michigan.
That would be great. I would really like that. Ole Miss minus 15.5 against Kentucky. I think Ole Miss is really good, and I don't think Kentucky's very good. So, I know Kentucky kept it close against Georgia, but this is like the ultimate letdown spot for them. I think Ole Miss needs to show up and show out. This is the line that I was talking about earlier that makes no sense to me. BYU plus 3.5 at Baylor. I don't understand how Baylor is favored in this game. If you watched Baylor, Colorado last week and just the doy plays that Dave Aranda made and everything, and then BYU rolling against K-State last week, how are they dogs? That doesn't make any sense to me. It stinks. I know it stinks. I know the books are telling me to take BYU, and I'm falling right into the trap. But there's no way I can physically bet on this Baylor team.
But that's the Blake feel. The Blake feel is your system, and when you have a feel, you roll with it, and you are a winning better, so you go with it.
But I know it doesn't make any sense. I know it's the wrong play, but I have to. So UCF is playing Colorado. They are favored by 14. We're to the point now where we start fading Colorado.
Okay.
They're going to start playing real teams. UCF is a real team. I don't think Baylor is. So, and they came out of that game barely.
Yeah, and that's a letdown after a game like that, and everything they went through, and the excitement, and the hopping up and down in videos that they put out. I'm with you on that one.
USC minus 14.5 against Wisconsin. I think this is a bounce back spot for USC. Yeah, at home, Wisconsin, all that travel, everything. I still really like this USC team a lot. I think that they'll be right in the race for the Big Ten. So, and I don't think very highly of Wisconsin. I watched enough of that Alabama game, and I'm good on Wisconsin. Okay. Now, the big story in college football this week was this UNLV QB bailing on his team, basically.
Yep.
The thing that a lot of people, me being such a college football nerd, I know this. I don't think the quarterback much matters for that team because of the offense they run and how much they run the ball and everything. So I'm taking UNLV minus the 2 against Fresno. That line has moved. I think it opened at 3.5 and it's gone to 2 because of the news that came out.
It actually moved. It actually moved to where Fresno was a 1-point favorite for a minute, and that got only like a minute, and that got hammered back because all the podcasts and stuff that I listen to, gathering the information that you have in your head, is that they like the backup quarterback just as much. It's
I don't think quarterback matters for
Yeah,
what
it's not
they
that
want
big
to
of a
do.
drop off.
By the way, I've only watched a little bit of UNLV. Their offense and what they do, they call it the go-go offense, is so much fun to watch. They do the craziest formations and shifts and everything. Like they'll line up and like it'll be a quarterback here and they'll have two running backs next to him to the right. Like they run the weirdest, trickiest stuff, but it's hard to prepare for too.
Yeah.
Because of what they're doing formationally, because you only see it once a year. So I like them, and I think that they'll rally after they realize that kid quit on them. They're just like, hey.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's great for the locker room, and I can't wait to watch this offense. I don't have a chance. I don't stay up late enough to watch UNLV, but I'm going to have to catch some of that.
Yes. Mississippi State at Texas over 59.5. I'm Texas overs every week. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
I don't care who's playing quarterback. Like their offense is awesome, super fun to watch. Doesn't matter if it's Quinn or if it's Arch because they're both very good. So I feel very comfortable about that. Clemson minus 21.5 against Stanford. Stanford traveling all the way across the country. Yep. Clemson's really started to roll, and Cade Klubnik has looked like a competent quarterback again.
Coming back,
so I will take that. Florida State. They won last week, finally. They beat Cal. That was one of the picks that I had, in this segment of the show.
Yep.
But they're playing SMU. I can't get out of my head how bad SMU looked in week 0. I know how bad Florida State's been, but I also think SMU's worse. So I'm going to take Florida State plus the 6.5 at SMU. And then real quick, Arizona, Utah, I'm just going to take the under in this game. Under 47.5. This is a spite bet, 100%. After I got railed on that over last week, I will just take the under. Washington State, Boise, over 65. Two teams that I think that can score. I know Boise wants to run the ball, but they still have an explosive offense.
Yep.
I like that one a lot. And then Oregon, minus 25.5 at UCLA. Oregon is now rolling, and UCLA is bad.
That line has
they got smoked.
Yes.
They got smoked by Indiana. They are not a good football team. I on principle, I will bet against UCLA a lot of weeks, especially when they're playing Oregon. Now that Oregon is rolling.
Yeah, they have woke up. That offense has woken up. Now, the incredible thing is, we can get a count at the end, but this is 20-something games I think me and you are firing on, and only one in common, and not the bet in common, just one game in common. So I'll try to get through this as fast as possible. In the Arkansas-Texas A&M game, it's a game where the public doesn't know where to go. It's an actual 50-50 split. They see two hot teams coming off two road wins. Arkansas beating Auburn, A&M beat Florida. They don't know which way to go. It's a 48-64 split, so it's not quite 50-50. That line moved towards Arkansas from 5.5 to 3.5. So I'm taking Arkansas plus 3.5 in that game. Here's a good old home state game. 60% of the public see in the Western Michigan Marshall game. You got the public looking, and they see that Western Michigan can't win. So they're running to bet Marshall, the home team, on this one. Western can't win on the road this year. They haven't won. Matter of fact, I got a split of 40% of the bet, 65% of the money, and that line's moved from 5.5 to 4.5 towards Western Michigan. We know Mike's firing on that. Western Michigan plus 4.5. And here we go. We're riding the booty again. We are riding the booty. Louisiana Monroe plus 7.5 against Troy, baby. The public is looking, and they saw what Booty did last week, and they don't like it. They are running to take to fire on Troy, and they're laying those points. I took Louisiana Monroe plus 7.5. This opened at 8.5 and moved to 7.5 with only 43% of the bets, but 64% of the money. I'm taking Louisiana Monroe again.
And I think that Troy has been good the last few years.
Yeah.
So I think that the books and everything are kind of slow to come around on they're not good this year. So I like that a lot. I was looking at that game as well.
Boom, right there. Lindsay Muskies. We're going to do this show every time they play. They just won in overtime again.
Let's go.
They were down 3-0 in the first and won 4-3 in double overtime. I love it.
Did you ever find out? Can we bet on these games, by the way?
The funny thing is I went to the casino and I never made it over to the sports book. I found a video poker machine and a couple Coronas and they didn't leave. All right, let's get this going. Sam Houston, Texas State, another 50-50 split. The public doesn't know who to take in this one. But when I look at it, this line didn't move. It's been sitting at 8.5, right? So I'm taking Sam Houston in that 8.5 with the public not knowing what to do and that line freezing.
That is a stink. That's a sicko game.
I love it. I love it. I've been on Sam Houston a couple times here. So now we're going to play. I cannot believe I'm even saying this. The New Mexico State game here. This line,
huge rivalry. Huge rivalry.
But it's moved so much, but I can't help myself. The public is looking and saying, how in the heck is New Mexico favored? So they keep jumping on these points with New Mexico State, and there's no way they can cover. But this line keeps moving. I think it opened up around 4.5 over the summer, but lately it's gone from 7.5 to 8.5. It's gone my way with New Mexico. So I'm laying the 8.5 points, and I'm taking New Mexico, baby. I won't learn my lesson with that team. And another one here. Let's go to UConn Buffalo. They're looking. The public's looking at this game. They see Buffalo just beat Northern Illinois, right? So they're eating up. They're gobbling those points. I'm taking UConn minus 5.5 with a split of 45% of the bets. But Blake, get this: 83% of the money. This line has moved from 4.5 to 5.5. I got the money. I've got the line move. I'm taking UConn minus 5.5. Here's a game I don't even know about, but I'm looking at it, and there's a split. The public doesn't know what to take. It's 50-50. This line has moved. I don't know why, but it moved. If the splits are 50-50, that line should stay. This line should have stayed at 10. Charlotte plus 10, right? But it's moved. I missed that 10, but I still got the touchdown. I got Charlotte plus 7 over Rice. And then
Rice is not good.
No.
Rice is not good.
And I'm getting 7. So here's the one that we have in common, the game in 7. I went to the Boise State, Washington State game. The public sees Washington State's undefeated. They're gobbling up the points. How can Boise State be favored? This line was frozen for a while. It did drop a little bit, but I'm not worried because I think, Blake, it was more of that. Those guys gobble up that 7.5 to make it a 7. I'm not worried about that move. I'm taking Boise State minus the 7.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think Washington State's good, but I think Boise State has a legitimate chance to make the playoff.
Yeah.
And that running back that they have is awesome. Yeah. He's so good.
They're gonna run it. I mean, it's gonna be tight, but I like Boise.
And it's gonna be tight and high scoring.
Yeah, tight and high scoring, and I like this Boise State. I don't even know. They still have the blue field. Are we playing on this?
Oh yeah, they're on the Smurf turf.
I just covered right there. I covered because of General Booty. I covered because of Boise State. Then I've got 3 that we talked about for the show: that Notre Dame, Louisville under, the Penn State, Illinois under, and the Georgia, Alabama under. Looking at the Penn State and the Michigan team totals also. That I don't have them, but those are all what I have in my pocket for college. I can't believe I'm betting this many college games.
I love it. This is my fault. I did this.
It is.
All right, let's get into these NFL games, and I will try and roll quickly through these because we're already at like 55 minutes.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize how long it's been. I love it though. We're having fun.
Oh, absolutely.
First NFL game we are going to talk about is a battle in the NFC North. We got Minnesota at Green Bay. Green Bay is favored by 2.5, over under of 43.5. I will start with this one. I think Minnesota is good. Yes. I just do. I think people are looking at Green Bay in the last 2 weeks that they've played without their quarterback, and it looks like he's going to play this week. But Minnesota is undefeated. I think that they've been playing really well out of literally nowhere. I think they might have figured something out with Sam Darnold. Oh yeah, I'm gonna take Minnesota plus the 2.5. I really think that they're the better team right now. this could play out horrible for me later in the season. But I think in this spot right now, Minnesota is the better football team, so I'll take them.
It's one where I can't argue it. I probably say I like your bet better than mine. But when I look at it, this is a game that it tells me, we go back to the beginning of the show where I said nobody knows anything about anything when it comes to the NFL. When you're looking at it, the public's looking at this game. They think it's going to be an easy cover for the undefeated Vikings. They're on the same boat as you. And I agree with you. Minnesota looks good. I like what I see. Darnold, he's finally playing to his skill level.
It's incredible what decent coaching will do.
And he's very comfortable in there. The coach is great. I like the coach. I'm very worried about, is Love going to be 100%? But with the split totals of 29% of the bets and 55% of the money, this line went from Minnesota -2 to Green Bay -2. Some of that on the Love news, but that's also the money that moved that. And if there's one thing we know, I'm taking a dog to fave. So I've got Green Bay -2.5.
I like it. I can't argue your logic. I really can't. I bet against Minnesota last week with the Houston game, and I'm like, I think Minnesota is just good.
Yeah.
Next game, Philly at Tampa. The spread in this game, Philly's favored by 1.5 on the road, over under a 43. Mike, I'll let you go first on this one.
All right. This is one why I understand the way I bet, because I don't get what the public sees in this. The public's looking at this, which is right now close to 60% of the bets, and they're seeing, hey, these teams can score points because of what they saw in their recency bias, But the Eagles' D is struggling. The Eagles' offense is broken. Hurts doesn't look the same. Tampa Bay's off. I don't think they're clicking right now. With a split of 43% of the bets, but 72% of the money, I'm taking under 43. This line opened at 47, moved all the way down to 43. This is a bet against a lot of things also. You've heard me say the Philadelphia's coaching staff is a joke. They're again, I say it, they're allergic to field goals. They're allergic to winning, and they're allergic to points. And I hate the offensive coordinator, because Kellen Moore, whatever, he stinks.
Former Detroit Lions.
He stinks. Everywhere he goes, the offenses end up broken. Dallas, San Diego, wherever, or LA, not San Diego. But I hate him. It's just as much as him. I hope this bet wins because Sirianni turns down a field goal.
That's totally possible too. 100%. Well, I'm gonna disagree with you though, and I'm gonna take the over, and I'm also gonna take Tampa plus the 1.5. Mainly because of the injuries on Philly.
Yeah.
I know that this is a tight spread, obviously 1.5. Tampa at home. I know that last week they looked obviously horrible, but like you were just talking about with Philly's defense. Their defense is broken. It's not good. And you're going to give me Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans.
Yep.
And I think that they can put up some points. And the injuries on Philly scare me. You're missing your best offensive lineman and your two best wide receivers. Now, that logic would also say under, but I'm not a logical person. The number's kind of low to me. Like you said, it's dropped from that. You said it was at 47 and hooked down to 43.
Yep.
It could
47 to 43. Yep.
Yeah. So I like the over here. I think it could easily be a 24-21 type game in that range. So Buffalo at Baltimore, Sunday Night Football. This is a great game. I'm very excited to watch this game.
Yep.
Baltimore is favored by 2.5, over under 46.5. I will start on this one. I like Buffalo plus the 2.5. I don't know. I get why Baltimore is favored, but I think Buffalo is just the better football team. And normally on these primetime games, I like taking the under. And this one, I like the over. I think Buffalo's hasn't really had to score a bunch of points this year. This is a game where they will. I think it's going to be a very competitive game, back and forth type game. So I like Buffalo and the over in this one.
It's another one that, it was a stay away game for me, but I think that when I look at it, I look at just like some of the things you said, the public's going to look at it and say the wrong team's favorite. Buffalo's undefeated. This should be the favorite team. So they're running at a clip of 65% of the bets are going that way, but it fell off of that 3. That could have been that 3 to 2.5 buyback, but let's say it doesn't and it still stays frozen there. That doesn't make sense because the money liability is on Baltimore. So I'm going with the money liability. I'm going with Baltimore minus 2.5.
I mean, and at home, everything, like I'm not going to disagree with it. I as a football team, I think Buffalo's the better team, and Baltimore's still got some stuff to figure out.
Yeah, it'll be one of those in the end. It'll be a tweet that I get from these guys that I follow that it's going to say the book's biggest need is going to be Baltimore. I think that Buffalo's that trendy dog where the money's going to be just piling in on them, and they could come in. And because here's the thing. Don't get comfortable, Baltimore, if you're covering by 10 in the fourth quarter because you stink in the fourth quarter. You blew my bet last week because you couldn't cover an onside kick. I mean, so you never know when that's going to come in.
Justin Tucker just is not it anymore.
Nope.
I don't know what happened to him. Also, and you know how much I love betting touchdown scorer. I'm telling you right now, I will be parlaying Henry and Cook in a touchdown parlay. I know that the odds on that probably won't be great, but I those two guys will score touchdowns in this game. So I really like that.
By taking them both, you up it up a little bit and you make it into some plus money.
See if you got any boosts out there, whatever you got to do. 100%. I like it. Next game is going to be Tennessee at Miami. Miami is favored by 1. This game stinks, but it's Monday Night Football. Over under of 36.5. Mike, you can go first on this one.
Oh God, does this stink? There's no numbers that I need here. I didn't even look at the splits, Blake. I didn't. I don't care about the splits in this game because you know who's playing in this game is Billy Blue Jeans, Will Levis. Will Levis is in this game. There's no way I'm going there. They're going to play Snoop Huntley and they're going to smoke them. I'm taking Miami minus the 1.5 easy.
This game stinks. I hate everything about it. Thank God it's a Monday night doubleheader for the other game that will be very interesting to me, even if you're a Lions fan or not. Under all day because I don't think either of these teams can score. They both stink. It's gross. I won't watch it, but I will have it on probably because I have 3 TVs.
Oh, absolutely. You have to. And here's the thing for you. I want to say Boyle's the guy, the backup or the third or whatever, right?
Yeah.
If he comes out and plays, my bet's dead and you're in. If the Snoop comes out, my bet's live and yours might be dead because I think that Waddle and Hill, they're tired of the way things have been going and they need to be explosive. And I could see some big touchdowns here.
That's true. I can't, but these quarterbacks
stink. And you got to take into account Billy Blue Jeans is going to throw at least 1 pick 6.
That's true. That's very true. That's the only thing that worries me is like if it's just a pick 6 off.
Yeah. I might take first touchdown of the game, Miami defense.
Seattle at Detroit. I don't know why anyone would care about this game. Oh, wait. It's just the biggest game of the weekend by far on Monday night at Ford Field. Detroit has struggled against Seattle. I know they have not beaten Seattle since Dan Campbell has become coach, which they play every year, which is incredible.
It's
crazy. You know why, though, right? It's because they keep finishing at the same place in their division.
Okay.
So, like, when the Lions won the division, they won the division. And then, like, when the Lions, the 1 year finished, I think it was second in the division to Green Bay. Seattle also finished second.
Yeah.
Like they keep finishing in the same spots because they've been on the same kind of level the last few years.
Yeah.
I'm just on my full blown like Lions hater shit now.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So I am gonna take Seattle and the under. Yep. Detroit has not figured out their offense yet.
Nope.
And now they're missing their center, which is huge. Okay. Yep. and they're missing defensive players.
Yep.
But then that's the justification for the Seattle thing. But
Yep.
I like the under in this spot, especially because Detroit's offense is not figured out.
Yeah.
And that's the thing going into the season I had the most confidence in. Now I have more confidence in their defense than their offense, which is insane to me. But who knows? But also DK Metcalf against a rookie corner.
Yeah,
that
scares me. That scares me. But you're not alone in the Lions' offensive woes. Talking about them, and I wrote right above this: Ben Johnson, blah blah blah. I'm tired of it. I stated it on the very first show that we talked about when we went over our futures, and I do have a Jared Goff future that stinks. It's done. It's dead.
That might be dead. Sorry.
That was my bet, and when I made that bet, I said the one thing that scares me is I think that the league is going to catch up to Ben Johnson. I'm not sold on this. Everyone was, this is going to be the best offense. This. He stinks right now. Goff stinks right now. And I hope I'm throwing the jinx out there and they just light it up because they're 3-0 to the under right now. It is an inflated Detroit Lions offensive over-under line here at 46.5. It opened at 48.5. It's moved down to 46.5. Only 26% of the money. And why is that? Because the sports books and those that are smart within the handicapping business have taken a stand, and they're taking a stand on this under on the offense that people are going to see the Lions offense and go, oh, it's so great, Ben Johnson. They're firing money. They're taking out loans against their houses and saying this is going to go over 46.5. I'm with you, Blake. I got under 46.5. The Lions offense stinks.
He's so mad. Oh no!
It's so hard to watch.
Ben Johnson, future Chicago Bears head coach. Just
good because they'll stink even longer.
No, but then he'll fix Caleb Williams. It's gonna be great.
No, they're the hard thing about that is he's gonna hold out. He's gonna get paid, and I don't know if the Bears gonna pay him what they want to pay him.
Well, they better pay to get rid of Dweeberflus over there. He's horrible. The only guy that he's going to go up against would be like a Belichick's going to be back in this league. He's just sitting back, licking his chops. Why?
Yeah,
but he hates Caleb. He hates Caleb. He rips
I'm not
him
saying
like
he's
every
going to
week.
go there, but they're going to be like they're going to be two of the top guys going. There's some guys out there. There's some coaches that are absolute dogs right now, and they're going to be gone if not by the end of the year.
All right, I'm gonna roll through these other NFL games that I like real quick because we're going long.
We're going long.
Bengals -4.5 at Panthers. Joe Burrow, you better fucking win this game this week. I swear. I'm done. Or I'm done. I'm done with I'll never be done with Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow has single-handedly destroyed every survivor pool in the world.
And it could be again.
Yes.
Rams +3 at Bears. I think the Rams are still good. I know that they're dealing with injuries and everything, but we saw what they just did to the 49ers. And this line doesn't make any sense to me.
I was waiting for you to say it. This is another stinky. We're going to be on opposite ends of this one. We might be. I need this to get off the 3, but I'll get to that. I was waiting for you to say this does not.
It doesn't make any sense, but I'm taking Stafford. Saints at Falcons over 41.5. I know that the Saints last week, their offense took a huge step back.
Yeah.
The Falcons offense is starting to roll. And these two teams always playing crazy games.
Yeah.
So give me a crazy over. Why not? Colts +2.5 versus the Steelers. The Steelers have not played a quarterback, and I still don't think they are. I'm not a huge Anthony Richardson guy, but this is the best quarterback they've played.
Yep.
And this line stinks too. This game stinks, but Colts +2.5 at home against the Steelers. I will take that all day. Commanders at Cardinals over 49.5. I know that the money is probably on with me on this one, and I know I'm probably making a bad bet, but the Cardinals offense I think is still good. Yep. I know that they struggled in the second half against the Lions. but the Commanders came out and looked awesome on Monday night.
Yeah.
Jane Daniels. And I think Arizona's defense is dog shit. And I know that the Commanders defense is dog shit.
Yep.
So 49.5, I'll ride with it. I know I'm just going against everything you stand for, Mike.
I like your number better, but we're riding, baby. We're riding.
And then finally, Chiefs at Chargers under 40. This game stinks.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes and the Chargers, I don't know what else they can do at this point besides run the ball. So give me the under 40. That has to be the lowest point total in Patrick Mahomes' career. 40. But I'm taking the under.
If it is, you're going to hear it. You'll hear that stat come out.
And that's it for me.
So again, I can't believe I've got more NCAA bets than I do NFL bets. Blake, you've poisoned me. But this is the first time in my life, Blake, I'm looking at my sheet and I have all favorites and all overs.
I think that this is the week that favors. It's like a get right week for favorites, though. I really do.
I hope so, because this just stinks. I've got obviously the one that we just talked about, the Green Bay -2.5. I'm riding with you. I like your number better in the Washington and the Cardinals over. It's at 50.5. It had a split of 41 and 72. And at one time it was at 49. So even your 49.5 is still up from that 49. It's probably going to level back out at 49, but the line moved in my favor. The public just thinks of what they saw last week. The Cardinals can't do anything. They're thinking rookie quarterbacks only throwing one touchdown. He's got to travel. They like the Cardinals defense, so they're going with the under. I'm going over on this one. And it's kind of public. It's the pros and the Joes. Sometimes the public and the sharp bettors get together, and they did on this one. This is a stinky one here, but I'm going to go to that Bengals game that you bet on. I'm going over 47.5. It's one where it's split. The public doesn't know what the heck to do in this game.
Andy Dalton revenge game. So he's going to put up some points. But if Joe Burrow doesn't put up more points, I'm going to what's that Japanese thing where they shove the sword into their stomachs? Seppuku or whatever.
Owie is what I call it.
That's going to be me if Joe Burrow doesn't get this figured out.
Yeah, and this line's moved from 44 to 47. I'd loved it at 44. I don't have it. I got it at 47.5, but I see this game going over. Cincinnati can still score points, and their defense stinks. To the Atlanta-New Orleans game, you said you took the over, I believe, in the Atlanta-New Orleans game. The public's looking at this game, and they're like, wrong team's favorite. We're taking all these points with New Orleans, but despite 64% of the people taking it, this line went from 1 to 2.5 in Atlanta's favor. That's because 36% of the bets, but 54% of the money is on Atlanta, and I'm taking Atlanta, and I'm going to take them until Raheem Morris gets it right and kicks field goals and wins a stinking game. Then the stinker that I have, I'm riding Minshew Mania. I have to. I loved this bet. I have the Raiders at 1.5. It was a 50-50 split to where the line should have never have moved. It moved from 1 to 2. It was moving in the Raiders' favor, and then the news comes out.
And then their whole roster died.
Yes. So I can't run to the sports book and ask my money back. So
you can cash out. You'd lose a little bit. You could cash out, right?
You could cash out, but I can't because
no, I get it.
I just can't do it. And I'm going off of Antonio Pierce is losing this team by coming out in the media and ripping on players and doing it the way he's doing it and saying certain things. They may quit on him, but at some point, professional athletes have pride. Yep. And I see this as they got embarrassed last week by Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, and Carolina. They're going to come out, and I still think they take care of business, and I'm going to cross my fingers in this stinker. I got the Raiders -1.5. What are you going to do? The one I'm waiting on is the numbers and everything look great for the Bears, so I'll probably still take that 3. But there's a little bit of juice there because people are going to gobble up that 3, right? For the Rams, and then at some point, if I catch it, I'm gonna love it at 2.5. But I'll probably take it. I just don't have it. I'm gonna say I don't have it in my account. I will have that in my account, whether it's 3 or 2.5. I'm just gonna like it a lot more at 2.5.
I love it. I hate it because you're against me, but I love it.
Because this is what I love. One of us is gonna win.
just guys talking about our bets, and I love it.
I love it.
We
learn something new every week from each other.
That's true. We do. And your son won his game, which is incredible.
Which is great.
It's all turning up. It's all looking good for us. This actually may be a determining factor if we have a good week or a bad week. Did he win last week?
They won in double overtime last week.
Okay. Then
when we were watching the show, so
there's no correlation.
Yeah. We'll have to wait.
Well, no, last week we were on Thursday.
Oh, that's right. So let's just go with the games that he dressed. He ended up not dressing until Wednesday. And they won Wednesday. They beat Buffalo 5-1. Yeah. So we didn't get it.
I'm trying to look at someone to blame for my bad picks. That's all. And I was ready to blame your son talking.
Let's blame somebody. So we'll put it on him, and hopefully it'll all work out for us this week, and we can forgive him.
We can only hope. Todd, thank you. I'm sorry for making you. This is longer than you expected. You didn't sign up for an hour 15. You signed up for an hour, right? Yeah, I can see it. We appreciate everyone out there watching. Go Tigers. I'm gonna keep blind betting them until the playoffs, and then we'll reevaluate from there. But everyone have a great weekend. Be safe. If you're going to the games, if you're going to any of the Tigers games, if you're going to Monday Night Football, any of that stuff, have fun, be safe.
Yep.
And have a great weekend, and let's win some money. All right.
Yep. We'll see you guys next week.
We out.
You've been listening to Off the Board. Tune in all throughout the football season for weekly picks and insights. Subscribe to Unsyndicated and Off the Board on all your favorite social media and podcast platforms.